My name is Justin Hoagland. I was a special operator in the Navy. I did 9.5 years. I was medically retired for multiple sclerosis. I have 2 deployments and an instructor tour. My last deployment was a combat deployment to northern Iraq in 2016, 2017. Coming back from my second deployment is when I really started noticing changes mentally for me. I ended up struggling with a lot of anger and irritability, and it was completely unnoticed by me. My wife finally was brave enough to come up to me and tell me that she was walking on eggshells around me every day. I've known my wife since we were 14 years old, so for her to tell me that she's walking on eggshells, uh, that just blew my mind because I didn't see it. And I went and started doing talk therapy, started working on self awareness, realizing that I was angry and irritable, trying to realize what was causing this. And it got better in the aspect of I was able to see it and try to address it, but it never went away. So the anger is something that I struggled with for about 3 years, just trying to manage it on my own. And along with the anger, I also have waves of depression where everything will be good, um, absolutely nothing wrong, and then I'll get depressed. When I have a wave of depression, normally I have suicidal thoughts that come with that depression. So those three things have been plaguing me for the last few years, on top of all my other things I'm dealing with for the multiple sclerosis specifically. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I've also suffered multiple TBIs. So with the TBIs and the PTSD, they've got overlapping symptoms. So to really put your finger on just one of them is causing everything, it's pretty difficult. And it's more so like, what's crazy is that the SGB is a treatment for PTS, and it treats those symptoms and does a really good job of treating that. In the community, in the SEAL community, my experience, my personal experience, and the experience of talking to people, most guys don't have PTSD. They just don't. They're good with all the things that they've done. There's no traumatic one thing that happened, versus somebody that got into a car accident and now they're scared to drive because that was a traumatic event and now they're avoiding all this stuff. So the going through like the PTSD like checklist, like it's kind of loaded where it's like, it's that doesn't, this doesn't, I have all these symptoms, but I don't necessarily have this. I told a story to a psychologist and I got pissed off and angry about the story. And when we were done, she's like, "Hey, I'm going to diagnose you with PTSD." I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "You have a lack of trust in your leadership." And because I told this story and I got animated and angry and it brought me back into the moment of being in that story, like I'm still upset about what happened, that was PTSD. And I started learning more about treatments that were available to me. And I learned more about the SGB, the stellate ganglion block. And from my understanding with the SGB, relating it to a military mindset, it is a hard reset. Hey man, the radio's broken. What do I do? Well, dumbass, turn the radio off and turn it back on. Once you cycle the power on the radio, boom, comms are back up. That's essentially what the stellate ganglion block is doing. Getting an SGB, you have two ganglion nerves in your neck. You've got a left side and a right side. 80% of people are right side dominant when it comes to the ganglion nerves. This dominance has nothing to do with hand dominance. You're just either right side or left side dominant. So the procedure starts on the right side. You're going to get a needle in the neck. They're going to guide this needle with ultrasound or something similar. And then once they get to the ganglion nerve, they're going to inject lidocaine or something similar to numb this nerve up. This is essentially cycling the power on a electronic. The electronic's not working very well. You turn it off, turn it back on, and all of a sudden it's fixed. So this ganglion nerve feeds directly into your sympathetic nervous system, controlling your fight or flight. So with these injuries, this switch gets stuck on. The sympathetic nervous system is overpowering everything, and you are stuck in this fight or flight mentality. You're stuck in hypervigilance. Mood regulation is messed up because you are just stuck in this constant go. Your parasympathetic nervous system is being overridden and is not able to do anything. So once the lidocaine is injected into the ganglion nerve, this is turning off the sympathetic nervous system. It will reboot over the next 4 to 6 hours as that numbing agent wears off. As it reboots, the theory is that you're going to be level now. That parasympathetic nervous system and that sympathetic nervous system are going to even back out, and you're going to go back to normal. So this procedure, it's not going to change you or take anything away from you. This procedure is getting you back to normal. All right. Now, if you get the right side done and you don't really feel anything, you might be left side dominant. So going in and getting the left side done will theoretically give you all of these feelings that people talk about, all this too good to be true stuff. And so once I started learning this and understanding that, I felt that I wanted to try this procedure, especially hearing other veterans talk about the results that they were getting. Some guys were talking about really, really profound results of immediate feelings on the table as soon as something happens. You're crying on the table, laughing on the table, a weight has been lifted off of your chest, you're able to breathe again. So I was very hopeful to get some relief from those 3 big symptoms that I deal with. So going in, I got the right side done first, and I didn't have a profound feeling. I didn't really have any feeling after the right side. So I was immediately, you know what, this it didn't work. It didn't work for me. It's working for other people, that's awesome, but it didn't really work for me. I was scheduled to get the left side done as well. So the following day I came in, got the left side done, and turns out that I was left side dominant, and I felt better on the table. It wasn't profound, but I felt better, and I didn't really know how to verbalize what I felt. I felt a little different, and it felt a little better. Along with the depression and the anger, these things, I know this is definitely something that the veteran community feels a lot, and this is also something that's hard to verbalize. The lack of feeling. People like to default to numb. For the past couple of years, I don't feel numb. I don't feel anything. You can't feel numb if there is no feeling at all. So talking about just a lack of joy, things that you used to like doing. These are questions that you see when you're taking a PTSD little checklist, and you see these questions. They don't really mean anything to you. For most of us, we check whatever we think we should check for that moment. But the reality is that we don't feel anything anymore. So after the SGB, over the next couple days, I really started trying to put my thumb on what it was that I felt. And for me personally, I didn't have that profound feeling. I never felt like I was walking around with weight on my chest or on my shoulders. But what I started realizing that I felt was, I felt like there was no resistance. So for that resistance, it's as if I had a drag bag, or I was doing a tire drag in soft sand, and that rope, the cord, it was cut, and then I was walking around slick. So following the SGB, I felt like nothing was holding me back, and I started feeling again. Just being with my kids. I've got 3 kids. I do some coaching and stuff like that, and I could start feeling the joy. I mean, looking at your kids, there is obvious joy and love, and you want to protect, but there's a lot of that just lack of feeling in general. There's the obligation of being a father, but along with that obligation, you don't always feel anything. And over the past month since I've got my procedure done, I've had no waves of depression, no suicidal thoughts, because that accompanied the depression. And with the anger, I've been irritable 2 times in the last month. And with that irritability was me identifying that I am frustrated with the situation, and that's about it. I didn't act on anything. I was able to address the situation and move smartly and fix whatever was going on. So over the past month since I've gotten the procedure done, I feel better. Placebo, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what it is. I feel better in the end. So I'm definitely thankful that I got this procedure done, and I am trying to push this on other people that deal with things that are similar with the depression and suicide and anger, the things people don't want to talk about, things that people don't want to see. This is definitely something that can help, could help. It's not that invasive. It's a little scary getting a needle in the neck, but you could feel better afterwards. I definitely think this is worth it, and I got good enough results that I would definitely push this on anybody dealing with anything that they've got going on similar with some of this mental illness stuff that's we didn't suffer from prior, and whatever it is, brain trauma, PTSD, this could definitely help. I feel like the SGB is a great treatment option because this is something that can help with the things that people don't want to talk about. It's very difficult for somebody to open up and speak about these, what would be labeled as a mental illness. Going on medication, I'm not a medical provider. Going on medication is not the answer. The answer is to do what is going to work. This is something that could work. This is something that it's not that invasive. This is more of a mental scare of the needle going in the neck. Getting this procedure done could benefit your entire life. It could benefit the people around you. The cost of this procedure, I mean, it's entirely worth it to give this a try. If this is going to help, then why would you not want to help yourself get better, help the people around you? If cost is the only thing holding you back, this is something that you really need to look at that can make everything better around you. I'm not saying this is 100% fixed by any means, but if you can get some relief from these things that have been plaguing you for possibly years, things that you don't even want to speak about. I mean, to me, this is kind of a no-brainer to at least give it a try, and hype yourself up, get the placebo effect, read all the success stories, and go in saying like, oh, I'm going to get results from this. And if it's placebo, who cares? Feelings are real. If you feel better, that's the end game. That's the only thing you should really be judging on a personal level is, hey, how do I feel? That's about it.